Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm Steve Lance. As the Biden administration continues to probe the debris from the Chinese spy balloon, new missions are underway to recover debris from the 3 other unknown aerial objects shot down just days ago. White House officials briefed senators today, and NTD's Melina Wisecup has more from the Capitol. Melina, what's the consensus after the briefing?
We heard from several senators coming out of that classified briefing today, and they all shared a similar message. The biggest takeaway being that these unidentified flying objects are not new. The only difference now is how the administration is handling them by shooting them down. And as for why there is this change in strategy, well, Senator Cotton says that he believes the administration is taking this action to shoot them down now to avoid experiencing another round of criticism that they experienced for delaying shooting down that Chinese spy balloon. And Senator Kennedy tells me that White House officials did not provide any explanation for why they are now changing this strategy. And although there is very little known about these objects so far, both senators and the White House are unified behind the message that these objects did not pose a threat.
But from the broader perspective of whether these things are here to conduct attacks against the U.S., there's no indication that that's the case. But again, you're right. I mean, how can I tell you not to worry about something if I can't tell you what it is?
We have unity in confusion.
They've already reviewed over 300 unidentified aerial phenomenon. Over half of them have been determined to be balloons or balloon-like technology.
And we're told that they've been identifying objects like this since at least 2017. As for why they're detecting more now, National Security Coordinator John Kirby explains that in light of the Chinese spy balloon, they turned up the sensitivity on their radars, which is now allowing them to detect more. Here's Kirby.
When you adjust your sensitivities on the radar, you're likely to see more of those kinds of contacts. We think that that's in part why there have been these most recent incidents.
Now, for their part, the White House says they will know more about these objects as they continue to recover that debris. That mission is ongoing right now, although it is difficult because of the weather. The White House says that from what they know so far, these objects, there's no indication that these objects are linked to any spy programs or are a part of China's spy balloon program. Senators today expressing that the American people should be better informed.
And the American people need to know more so they'll have more confidence in our national security.
President Biden owes the American people an explanation.
And many senators have echoed Senator Tom Cotton's message, urging President Biden to address the nation. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
Thanks for that, Melina. And speaking of relations with China, the U.S. State Department is warning that the U.S. will defend the Philippines. This is after reports that the Chinese Coast Guard used laser devices against the Philippine Coast Guard and that the crew aboard one vessel was temporarily blinded. The incident happened in the South China Sea, where China and the Philippines have ongoing territorial disputes. And joining us to discuss the Chinese spy balloon as well as U.S. relations with the Chinese Communist regime, we have Congressman Mike Waltz of Florida. Congressman Waltz is a colonel in the U.S. Army National Guard with over 20 years of military service. Congressman Michael Waltz, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, great to be with you. Thanks.
Congressman, you offer a unique perspective with your military background as well as being a member of the Armed Services Committee. With all that we've witnessed over the last week or so since the incursion of the Chinese spy balloon in U.S. airspace, what is your assessment thus far, and are there questions that you still have?
Well, I think from a broader perspective, this balloon episode can have a silver lining. And that silver lining is that I hope this is a wake-up call for all of American society and across our government that we are undergoing a tidal wave of Chinese espionage across our academic sector, across our tech sector, in our businesses, through cyber, through acquisitions of key technology sectors. And often, though, that is behind the scenes. This balloon traversing the United States over our most sensitive military sites really was kind of an in-your-face move by the Chinese Communist Party. I think most Americans are incensed at this violation of our sovereignty. And again, I hope it's a wake-up call and a bit of a Sputnik moment, just as the 1950s and the Soviets putting a satellite up was a wake-up call to America then, I believe this will be a wake-up call to America now.
Congressman, you touched upon various sectors of espionage. There's another one I want to talk to you about, which is the agriculture sector, something that we don't think of much in the United States, that the CCP is actually trying to acquire and purchase, and they have been, American farmland. There's calls to crack down on this. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it should absolutely be banned. And these purchases serve two purposes for the CCP. One, it gives them access to and therefore control of key sectors of our food supply. And two, they're often making these purchases very near sensitive military and national security sites where they could potentially monitor our activities. I think actually both are incredibly disturbing and dangerous, but the giving them control and access to key parts of our food supply fits into the pattern of the CCP looking to create dependencies, as it's done with our pharmaceutical sector, as it is doing with the global battery and critical minerals market. We have to take our supply chains back, and we have to protect the ones that we have here.
Congressman, it does seem rather ominous between the, as you mentioned, purchasing farmland near our military installations, these spy balloons flying over our military installations. The CCP seems to have mastered the art of hybrid warfare. How do you even come up with a red line?
Well, look, I mean, I think the red line on our sovereignty is incredibly clear and should have been clear, and that balloon should have been shot down over the Pacific Ocean, not the Atlantic Ocean. But on the other hybrid activities, look, I mean, everything from blocking funding, outbound, what's called outbound CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. I introduced legislation to stop the military's 401k program from investing into Beijing. We need to pull our pension funds from our various states. Look, at the end of the day, we cannot fund our greatest military adversary. And as Marx infamously said, the capitalists will sell us the rope with which we will use to hang them. And again, this is why this is a competition and an adversary unlike any we've ever faced. This is a whole of society, whole of government effort in every aspect of our society. And unfortunately, the ones that tend to be the most popular here in the United States, our sports industry, Wall Street, Hollywood, are the most addicted to the revenue that they're making off of their investments in China. And we have to pull those back and make people realize the national security implications.
Congressman, lastly, Secretary of State Antony Blinken may potentially meet his Chinese counterpart this week for face-to-face talks. Is this the right time? And if so, what should his message be to the Chinese?
Well, I think it needs to be a message of strength, and it needs to be a message of deterrence and one of consequences. What it cannot be is we're just going to ignore these ongoing gross violations of our intellectual property and of our sovereignty because of this pipe dream that the Chinese Communist Party care about the climate. And that they're going, I think at the end of the day, if Secretary Blinken takes that approach, the Chinese are going to use that as leverage to get concessions in other areas that they care about. And that would be, I think that will continue to be devastating for our national security and for deterrence.
Congressman Michael Waltz, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you.
Inflation persisting as consumer prices remain above expectations. What the latest inflation numbers tell us and how the president reacts. NTD's Iris Tao brings us more.
Inflation has slowed down from its painful 2022 peak, but gas and food prices are still taking their toll on consumers. The Consumer Price Index, which measures a broad basket of goods and services, climbed by 6.4% in January compared with a year ago. That thus marked the 7th month of decline from its peak of 9.1% in June last year, but is still higher than what economists forecasted and much higher than the 2% that the Federal Reserve is aiming for. President Biden, meanwhile, touting the latest numbers on Tuesday.
Good news is that inflation in America is continuing to come down. It's fallen 7 straight months. There's more to go. Food prices at the grocery store are coming down. Gas prices are down $1.60 since their peak.
Despite the president's optimism, Americans could see their prices much higher in grocery stores. The price of eggs rose 70% in January compared with a year ago, while the price of flour climbed 20%. On energy, gas prices rose 2.4% in January compared with December, averaging $3.50 a gallon nationwide. And despite a recent slowdown in inflation, Republicans are stressing that overall prices are still much higher than when Biden first took office. And the White House on Tuesday getting pressed on a decline in real wages.
How do you view the setback in today's numbers?
Real wages are indeed up over the last 7 months, which is important since trends are always more useful than 1 month's data.
While Biden says real wages are up over the past 7 months, the year-over-year real wages have been negative for the past 22 months. All this as the Federal Reserve has already raised interest rates 8 times in a row. We'll see another inflation report before the Fed meets again. And markets are expecting to see another rate hike in March. Reporting from the White House, Iris Howe, NTD News.
Former Trump administration ambassador to the United Nations is making it official. That's Nikki Haley, and she's running for president in 2024. The former South Carolina governor announced her bid for the White House today.
The Washington establishment has failed us over and over and over again. It's time for a new generation of leadership.
Haley is challenging Trump for the GOP nomination, though the former president reportedly encouraged her to run. But Haley will have tough competition, not only from Trump. Governor Ron DeSantis, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and former Vice President Mike Pence are also potential, some might say likely, candidates in the 2024 presidential race. And while we're looking ahead to 2024, Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein today said that she will not be seeking re-election. The race for her seat is already underway. Several California Democrats have already started running for Feinstein's seat, including Representative Adam Schiff and Representative Katie Porter. Feinstein is 89 years old, and she says she will stay in office until 2024 at the end of her term. Feinstein has been a mainstay in California politics for decades. She was first elected to the U.S. Senate in 1992, and she is the longest-serving female senator in United States history. Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.